SoundCloud.com/chaotic flame, YouTube.com / nothing left to do but win. Shout out to the Krump community. It is an honor to be here, and we have a very, very, very special episode today. We're going to get straight into it. Hopefully you were tuned into the stream yesterday. If so, you know what's going on, right? So let's get into it. Today I have a very special guest. As my curiosity about Krump grew, I went and looked for New Jersey Krumpers. The first Krumpers I came across, L-Cerious, Mike Fantum Allen. Yesterday we had L-Cerious speak his piece. Today we got Mike Fantum Allen here to tell us about the garden. Without further ado, Fantum is in the building. What's good, brother?
What's up? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. First, I want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for coming up on a platform to converse with me, brother.
Most definitely. Thank you. Thank you for having me here, man.
All right. Shout out to Slugger. I see Slugger in the comments already. We live. Hopefully, I could get you on the platform one day. People already jumping in here. It's wonderful.
What's good, Slugger? Twin.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about the birth / inception of the garden.
Okay. The start of it, the inception of the garden, I would say it's a transition from one era to another. Like, you are aware of our previous brand, Jersey Hype. You know, that stayed consistent for about 9 years now. 9 years that people have invested into that brand, what it meant and what it was supposed to be for the future. You know. So due to inner disputes, the movement isn't what the brand is supposed to be, or what the brand is supposed to represent for the movement. You know, things have changed to the point where old things we had to cut old ties. Old ties had to be cut. You know, like, we're at the point where the brand is served its purpose due to everything that's happening. You know, and for the sake of progress, and prolonging the movement, we had to cut out old things that were rather corruptive and start anew. And so that's where the garden comes into play. You know, it's the garden because this is Jersey. Because my crew, which is Madhouse District, we operate on one policy: Jersey comes first, always. And so, exit Jersey Hype because that served its purpose, and enter the garden, something new, something fresh. And Jersey is the garden state. You know, other people might have the name, have different reasons for the name, but hey, Jersey is the garden state. We live here. You don't. So
yeah, absolutely.
So it's a brand. So it's a fresh start from what we had before. You know, the reason for it is not ideal. It's not pretty, but it's necessary. You know, for the sake of progress, what must be done isn't always pretty. It's not always enjoyable. You know, sometimes it could be dirty work. You know, and no one really enjoys that part. I know I certainly don't. But you know, as men, we don't always get to do what we feel in our heart that we enjoy. I don't enjoy the dirty work, but it must be done for the sake of the community. You feel me? So yeah, that's the garden. That's where we are now, and that's where we're in the process of building now, from the ground up, which is sessions. You know, weekly consistent sessions which if people don't understand, there are people on the platform who are not familiar with Krump. Sessions is where we all wake up and we all dance, for the sake of fellowship, for the sake of release, for the sake of perseverance of whatever we're dealing with in our personal lives. That's where we come to release, to put put all of our creativity, all of our dance skill on the floor, and it all just comes to life and it manifests. In real time. Not on some not on some practice or premeditated. Everything just comes to life in the Krump way, in the pure Krump language. If what I'm saying makes sense.
Yes, if I could, it makes sense to me as someone who's taken the time to do the due diligence to view the sessions and see the difference between sessions and battles. And honestly, you guys schooled me on exactly what the difference is in the pros and cons of each. What I would personally like to ask is right now, who does the garden consist of?
As far as leadership goes, it consists of myself and Slugger, who you've seen in the comments, and '07, my brother, my 50, who's currently residing in Vegas because, he's a full-time professional dancer. He's been performing at the Win at this show called The Awakening, which I still need to go see for myself. But yeah, that's where he's been at the last couple of years. He's been building his career, which has been an amazing career. Like he's been really doing big things to really earn that for himself. And the state OG, who is Brash, he's also part of the leadership, And one of our frontline dancers, one of the people who's really been pushing for this movement in and out of the state lines, whether it be battling, sessioning, performance, showcase. His name is Man Grizzly, aka Nicholas Bryant.
Yo, shout out to Man Grizzly. Shout out to Man Grizzly.
Yes, he's really he's really been like on the front lines for a really long time, consistent, dedicated. So yeah, that's my guy. And one of our rookies, his name is Bugs. Yeah, he's really been active in the field. He's 1 year into Krump, but in that 1 year, he has really done a lot. Like whether it be sessions, labs, in and out, he's really been putting in the footwork. Like he's super dedicated. Like Krump has taken over his mind. Honestly, Krump is really taking over his mind. That's what I was like. That's what it's like in the beginning. Like Krump is all you think about. You're constantly laughing. It doesn't matter whether you're at work, you're at school, whatever you're doing. Krump is just taking over your everything. So that Krump energy is constantly attacking you, and you have to do something with it. Like that's the stage that he's at. It's going to take a while for him to mature out of that, but he's in a really good place. So yeah, Bloods. There's many other people named, and shout out to my brother Monster Havoc.
Monster Havoc. Shout out to Monster Havoc. Yes,
staying consistent with the tracks. And he's on the verge of becoming an instructor in capoeira.
Yes, I seen the videos. He took that Eddie Gordo Tekken stuff to the next level.
Absolutely. My brother has stayed dedicated in his martial arts training for many, many years, on top of, being consistent in the sessions, being consistent with his music. So yeah, shout out to my brother, my day one.
Nice. Is there anyone else that you would like to shout out as far as, being a part of the movement, The Garden, before we proceed to the next question?
Well, they're not exactly Jersey residents, but they are family, like they're allies outside of the state. Like my brother, Nico, aka Fable, who's leading the New York City movement called Live Tribe New York City. So yeah, it's small, but it's a dedicated movement. He's been leading it, labbing the rookies, traveling, representing. So yeah, that's my brother right there. Shout out to Fable. And also shout out to our Pennsylvania brothers, the pack, Pennsylvania Krump, PAK, shout out to my brother Beast Hype. He's been leading the movement for quite some time, progressing the movement in great strides, and building a name for himself, for his little homies, and everyone in the state. Like, if you don't know him, please get to know him, because it's a fantastic movement. In New York and Pennsylvania, those are our allies. Feel me?
Nice.
Yeah, people, we got allies in Massachusetts too. But it's too many names to name. We got a lot to cover.
Yeah, understood. Well, shout out to everyone that is helping, supporting, labbing with, sessioning, battling. A shout out to everyone that's helping keep the energy alive. I guess the next thing that I would have to ask is, what can we expect? Even though you kind of touched on this when you mentioned the sessioning and the constant sessioning or consistently sessioning, but what can the people, the fans, or the onlookers, what can we expect from the Garden?
Well, yeah, we kind of touched on it, where you could definitely expect consistent sessions every Saturday at Military Park, especially during the summer. Summertime is here, so we are back at Military Park. So yeah, definitely expect the sessions. And for future endeavors, we intend to host workshops, Krump classes from big name Krumpers that we have tight connections with, to come into the state and teach like a master class for people who want to learn more, people who want to improve on their skills, on knowledge that they don't already have. If there is an event, actually there is an event coming up hosted by Man Grizzly himself,
Oh,
called
wow.
Jersey Club versus Krump. And
Ooh.
I believe it's coming in August. Man Grizzly, if you are in the comments, please share the info of your event, because that is the next big thing that's coming up, hosted by Man Grizzly and Monster Havoc themselves.
Oh, wow. The producers are in the building.
Yes.
It would be amazing if there's also, now this is just me and my promo thing, but if there's like new music coming out, boy, would that be a good time to bring out the arsenal. I am definitely a fan of what I don't want to call them by their real names. I'll stick to what Monster Havoc and Man Grizzly are accomplishing within the community musically. I'm optimistic to work with them in the future. So it sounds like the team is strong, the team is moving, the team is working, the team is staying active. I would have to bring up a scenario, right? And we're going to keep it clean. You guys are sessioning at Military Park, right? It's the Garden. You're there. It's a good time. It's a good vibe. New Jersey Hype happens to be there. Is it like a thing where we can lab together? Like, are we on terms where we collab together, or is it like rounds on site, or is it we can't really rock with y'all until we figure things out? Like, what is the sentiment there, if I could?
The sentiment is rounds on site, honestly. Like I said, there's dirty work involved in this whole leadership stuff. You know what I mean? This, how the split commenced, it definitely wasn't ideal. There's so much to cover on that, but yeah, honestly, it was really nasty business. Someone that I viewed the recent interview. I have my feelings on it, but I feel that blanks need to be filled. Blanks definitely need to be filled, because it was definitely one-sided. Feel me? Like, this is how this came about. This is the result of repeated offense, repeated offense from one particular person, and constantly. This is someone that we worked with for a long time. He hasn't always proven to be the most reliable and the most responsible, but just off the strength of him being the brother, and someone who stayed consistent with the movement to bring it to where it is now. A lot of grace has been given. But,
Wow.
Eventually that runs out, especially when we're entering a stage where, despite all that we've done, um, we're treated as we're treated as enemies. So, individual in question, L-Cerious,
Yeah.
someone that we have done so much, over 8, 9 years of work put into this movement. But just to cover everything that led up to where we are now, we we were forced into a position where we had to separate from L-Cerious because of his conduct, within the culture that we are in, which is basically the Krump culture, regarding us and regarding people outside of the state line. Like L-Cerious is someone who I say has put in a lot of work marketing the brand and the movement when it was under Jersey Hype. Do you want to talk about who's been marketing the movement consistently? That is definitely L-Cerious. He's really put the name out there, you know. And I think, and it's benefited the movement. It has benefited the movement.
Yes.
You know,
Respectfully. Yeah.
Quality marketing is always benefiting. Unfortunately, in the culture that we're in the Krump culture, it holds very little merit, unfortunately, because there's two ways to describe Krump culture. People care about who they see dancing consistently, and second, the Krump culture is like, what have you done for me lately?
Okay.
What have you done for me lately? In the grand scheme of things, people who don't know you intimately or personally, they don't care about what you've done behind the scenes if it's not dance related. If you are not seen on the field putting in work dance wise, you know, you're most likely going to be overlooked. You know what I'm saying? You could be putting in work behind the scenes and all that, but at the end of the day, the culture cares about who they see dancing and on a consistent basis. So it's like if you step away from Crump to take care of your real life responsibilities, as you should, because we will hold you accountable. Like, bro, you late on rent, you gotta handle something at work. Then put Crump to the side and handle your real life responsibilities, especially if Crump is not paying your bills.
Absolutely.
Really?
I agree. Yes.
So that's what must be done. However, but also, doing that, you're gonna miss out on a lot of things in Crump. A lot of things are gonna pass you by, and if people don't see you for a while, people start to overlook you. You're not gonna get as much notice. So L-Cerious, I believe he entered a time to where he had to step away from Crump to handle his real life responsibility. Because, like I said, if you don't, we're gonna hold you accountable.
Absolutely.
It's like, okay, put Crump aside, handle what you need to handle, as you should as a grown man. So, and it was never, we never made it a requirement or like a stern stigma to where you need to be here at all times. No, handle your business. You have people who are consistent in the field, like Man Grizzly, for example,
Yeah.
like Slugger, for example, who have been consistent in the field and nurturing the movement, bringing in new people, traveling, getting their names out there as well as ours, who have been really leading. The Slugger for the past couple of months, he's been bringing in new people, building his fam, building his lineage, and Man Grizzly as well, and and adding new things to the team. A lot of things have been done while L-Cerious was absent. And again, that's not an issue. It's necessary for you to be absent to handle what you need to handle. It's just unfortunately, if you're not seen for a while, people are gonna be looking at who is active.
Yes.
Unfortunately, they see me, they see Man Grizzly, they see Slugger. Feel me? So with L-Cerious coming back into the picture, we felt that there was a certain shift in how he was conducting himself. Like over the years, Jersey has earned its reputation and its respect by not posting on social media if it's not related to promoting Krump positively, in the right way. Not being on social media trying to fight for an individual voice when it comes to, oh, I got something to say about politics or drama over here. Because, like I said, people respect dancing. They see somebody dancing consistently. And so that's a policy that we always follow. No talking on social media. Just promote that Jersey dancers are dancing and we're staying consistent and that we're making moves. That's
I can
how.
respect that. Yeah, I can respect that.
Yes, and that's how we earned our respect through up and down the East Coast. Anybody who knows who we are, they don't know us for drama and BS on social media. They just know us for staying consistent with the dancing, with the sessions, because that's the lifeline of the culture. Consistent sessions, battles, yeah, as long as they're happening accordingly, consistently, that's the lifeline of Krump. And so that is that's the Jersey way.
Yeah.
Okay, well, nobody say that is the Jersey way.
Putting in work, dancing, staying active, being seen, promoting the culture in a positive way, and staying out of the messier social media kind of things. Okay,
Yes.
I understand what you're saying. I'm walking with you.
And especially if, as leaders, we definitely have a responsibility to stay out of the messy, because the consequences not only fall on us, they fall on the people who are connected to us. Feel me? So we can't be seen in that light. If the leaders are seen doing this, acting like this, then they're going to associate the rest of the community to our behavior. And that's not fair to everybody else. Like the rookies, they didn't do anything to anybody. They didn't offend anybody. They're just doing what they're told, being at sessions, being faithful. You feel me? So yeah, as leaders, we definitely do not have we don't have the luxury to make a mistake in that department, like be caught up in the in the BS on social media. So the issue we had with L-Cerious is his shift in behavior when it came to posting on social media, or rather, posting private things that we discussed amongst each other on social media. Things that are supposed to be in-house talks. Him voicing how he feels on it, and anybody that he has grievances with in the culture. Like, for example, Capone. There's a Krumper in Massachusetts, and his name is Capone, whom L-Cerious claimed that he has issue with. We still haven't gotten any real clarity on what the issue is, but there is a way to go about it. There's a right way to go about it. Like if there's someone in the Krump who you have an issue with, you can settle it the dance way. You can connect with the person. You can connect with the person, pull up to their state wherever they are and battle it out. Not you don't have to throw up fistcuffs. That's not part of the dance. You can just battle it out. That's just what Krump is. Pull up, battle, and you don't have to shake hands at the end of the day. You just handle it in the Krump way.
Yeah.
That's how you're supposed to. No one's asking you to fight. No one's asking you to put up money. This is not you got served or stomped the yard. You don't have to do any of those things. Just pull up and dance and let your skill be tested or test somebody else's skill. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, in the process, you have to have tough skin. At the same time, you're still dancing at the end of the day. You're not putting up anything like of extreme value on the line other than your reputation. You know,
Other than your reputation, yeah.
other than your reputation. But other than that, you're just dancing at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So yeah, L-Cerious had the opportunity to handle that, you know, without resorting to social media. But unfortunately, this issue that he had with Capone, you know, the issue we have with L-Cerious is that he acts emotionally before thought. You know, and as a leader, you don't have the luxury to do that. You really had to think before you act, because the wrong move will turn the rest of the culture against you in the worst possible way, regardless of your intentions. You know, and L-Cerious, I know that in his mind he had the purest of intentions. However, if your actions do not match it, it really don't matter to people in the larger picture. You know, how you conduct yourself. What people see how you conduct yourself, that's what really matters. You know, in Jersey being a young movement, no one's going to give us the benefit of the doubt. You know, so we have to tread carefully because with that being a long-standing fact, we can't be seen moving moving recklessly or being out of pocket with anybody, especially if we don't have a legit issue with them.
Understood.
You
Understood.
know?
Wow.
So, you know, there was how L-Cerious chose to handle it was to publicly call out the Pope. You know, and the issue is L-Cerious is not mindful with the words that he uses. You know, L-Cerious has a message, but the words that he used don't always match his message.
Understood.
And that's a problem. That's a problem. Like, when you don't choose your words wisely, it could be it could be detrimental to you. And so how he chose to go about it and the words that he chose to use, he came at Capone rather very out of pocket. And so people who are associated with Capone, meaning his fam, they reacted. You know, there's interacting and there's reacting. The Capone fam reacted. It's like, why are you coming out of the woodwork and rather disrespectfully to someone who they consider family? You know, and how they chose to respond past all the social media drama, they chose to handle it the Krump way. Okay, we're going to come to L-Cerious State and we're going to battle them. And it resulted in a rather 2-on-1. And L-Cerious expressed that he did not approve of that. I can understand, however, you sparked this with what you said online. So you don't get to dictate how they respond when they take offense. You know,
Understood.
and it wasn't Capone himself who responded. It was his little homies. This is how they're showing loyalty. 2 of them pull up on you and they battle you in your state. You know, that's buck. That's loyalty.
Yeah.
You know, and regardless of the outcome, you know, how they went about it is the best Krump way possible. You know, so they handled it the right way.
Yeah.
And the battle took place. How the battle ended was not ideal.
Uh-oh. Let's get some details on the end of that battle.
It was not ideal because win or lose, handshakes is supposed to handshakes or not. The battle ends and business is concluded.
Yeah.
How it concluded was, you know, there was a live feed. There was a live feed of the battle, and you know, people and many Krumpers were watching. Like it was a huge like turnout online. when L-Cerious went that Capone fam was watching. And, it's Capone fam. They're biased, because, that's their fandom and you came at them way out of pocket. So when L-Cerious got wind, he reacted emotionally and irrationally by going on the live saying F Capone fam.
Oh,
Now,
man.
that's not, that is not Krump talk. Saying F anybody, that's not Krump talk. That is fighting words.
Yeah,
Come
he
on.
kind of crossed the boundary there. I can see.
Yeah, like you, come on. Like I said, we had to take responsibility for the words that we use. That is not Krump talk. That is all disrespectful. That is like, that prompts somebody to put their fists up. You know what I'm saying? At that point, we're not concerned about Krump. It's like, yo, you came at me pure disrespectfully.
Yeah.
So however somebody chooses to react, thankfully it did. It did not escalate beyond Krump. It's just they have a problem with L-Cerious and they're gonna handle it in the Krump way. All right, cool. there's still some tension, some fire there, you know what I'm saying? But thankfully it didn't escalate beyond that, beyond the Krump, beyond the Krump atmosphere. So thankfully for that.
Yeah, but if I could, and sorry to cut you here. So this was all happening while you and the rest of the team was still flying under the New Jersey Hype banner, I'm assuming.
Yes.
So it kind of felt like now we're associated with how L is moving because he's considered someone that's tenured within the culture representing New Jersey. We're associated with him, and this is okay. Now that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. With him being a leader, he has to conduct himself a certain way. That responsibility falls on all of us. and if we fall short, we have to be held accountable. That's the commitment that the position requires, whether we like it or not. That's just what it is. So it didn't just. So this is not the only instance. What can I bring to the table? But when it comes, so we're going to bring this to in-house.
All right.
New Hype City 5. that was brought up in the next one. Like, yeah, New Hype City 5 pretty much served as the conclusion. This is where everything was centered around. Like this is our 5th consecutive event, and we want to make it the biggest we could possibly make it. Like one after another, after another, after another. It has to progress, it has to change, it has to be different, it has to be better than the last. So and there has been some in-house strife between L-Cerious, Brash, and 07. There has been some in-house strife. And how it was handled, how it was handled on L-Cerious part, like it could have been done in a purely Krump fashion, like because that was the original intention, handle it in a pure Krump fashion. The strife between them, like L-Cerious. I mean, 07 called out L-Cerious. It's like, okay, we're having some issues with it right now, so we need to settle it on the dance floor. So that's just purely Krump. How L-Cerious chose to handle it, that was not Krump. I wouldn't even say that was manly. So L-Cerious called out L-Cerious, told him when he was going to fly back to Jersey, gave him a time and a place. This is where we're going to be at. It was in Military Park, and the battle was supposed to take place. Like, yo, this is where I'm going to be. Let's leg up. Let's battle. Let's settle this. Because right now, I really have an issue with you right now on a Krump level. How L-Cerious chose to approach it was to L-Cerious was in full knowledge of this. He knows the details of the call out. He knows everything. How he chose to handle it was to fly across the country to Las Vegas. That's where 07 lives and where he works. Like that's his livelihood over there.
Yeah.
to not only attend a Krump event out there. Like if that was solely it, okay, you went to a Krump event. but to but on the sideline to pull up to O7's job, which is the theater Awakening, the Awakening Theater,
Yeah.
to take a selfie and say and post it on social media and say like, "Oh, this battle would have been dope," knowing full well that O7. No, yeah, like okay. First of all, that's not Krump either. Pulling up at somebody's job, that's not Krump. You
Yeah,
know,
that's not it's not safe
you
either, I'd say.
that's not safe either. You know, like when you pull up on somebody's job, you're on a different type of time. You're on a fist of cuffs type of time if you pull up on somebody's job. Otherwise, why would you be there? You know, like and to post a photo, it's like, okay, that like how you conduct yourself in that manner, that's not respected, bro. It's like, yeah,
And once again, this is all happening while you guys are still under the New Jersey Hype banner, I'm
yes,
assuming. Oh, wow. Okay. Okay.
yes, yeah, still under the banner, like no separation is happening, but it's progressing. It's progressing to that point, you know. Like that's no way to conduct yourself as a leader or pretty much as a grown man. You know, it's like you know a simple no, or you could just simply battle. Like I said, you're just dancing at the end of the day. You're not pulling up with guns. You're not pulling up with money. You're not doing anything of the extreme. You're just dancing. You know, we have if there's negative energies, we can settle it in the dance form. That's how it's supposed to be.
And
It,
that's the beauty of Crump. And
That's
the
that's
only thing
beauty of performing arts. Feel me? Street
there we
dance.
go. There we go. Facts.
That's beauty of street dance. You know, you can settle it without it going to a violent going to a violent realm. But yeah, him making a public post like that, you know, it diminished the credibility that he had and the respect that he had had as his individual name L-Cerious, not only with us, but with people outside of the state who are connected to us and they support us. You know,
Yeah.
that really wasn't respected. So, and also in the midst of all the tension, you know, as brothers and as grown men, we try to create an opportunity to where you know there are people in the group who are butting heads. So we try to create an opportunity to where okay, we all meet up. We all meet up at a certain time at a certain place. We have a sit down as grown men. Everybody lay their cards out on the table and see if we can come to an understanding. You know, or you know, an understanding has to be established here. You know, if you want to be friends at the end of the day, well, that's totally up to the people involved. You know, and people went out of their way, especially you know, to create that setting. um, the issue, and unfortunately, everyone was in attendance except L-Cerious. That was a no call, no show.
Okay. Understood. Understood. So this is supposed to
And
be the
you
opportunity where
know,
you
and you know, people felt away.
yeah.
People definitely felt away about that, and they still do. But even after that, people still continue to give him grace because he's someone who's put in a lot of work for the movement.
Yeah.
But you know, continue the fence to where L-Cerious says something publicly, or he posts something publicly, and then we have to go put out put out potential fires that he's created with other people or with people within the state, and it happens on a consistent basis. And then you know, as grown men, we tried to hold him accountable, you know, not like screaming at the man's head, you know, just simply talking as adults, trying to hold him accountable to where, okay, bro, once again, you conducted yourself in 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 a way that's not ideal for you as a leader.
Understood.
You know, and we're coming to you as a brother. Like, we've had numerous conversations with L-Cerious, and if every time we converse with you, like, mind you, like one time we sat on the phone for 2 hours with the man, just trying to create dialogue to where he understands, like, okay, this is the issue that we're having with you, and this is how, this is how it has to change. If every time we have a conversation with you, as men, as brothers, and at the end of the conversation you say, yes, I understand, I appreciate the talk, but the next day you do or say something that completely negates the talk that we had with you, and that happens repeatedly.
Yeah.
So at this point, communication it's null and void. And if the result is you keep on causing strife with people based on how you feel, you're not acting in a logical sense. You're just moving impulsively based on your feelings of how you feel about this person, how you feel about this situation or the situation with Jersey. It's like, once again, you can have the purest of intentions. Eldon has a vision for Jersey.
Yeah.
Eldon has the purest of intentions for Jersey. However, his actions and how he moves, they do not match it. Your intentions are pure, but how you're moving isn't, and you have to take responsibility for it. But if we can't hold you accountable, if every time we try to hold you accountable as a man and you gaslight or you play the victim, like everyone's trying to gang up on you, like, we're not trying to scream our heads off at you or try to bite your head off. We're just trying to hold you accountable as an adult, because we expect you to do the same thing for us if we're if we're ever incorrect in how we're conducting ourselves as men or as leaders. But eventually communication has proven to be non-effective.
Yeah.
and to bring up what L-Cerious brought up, that he put an LLC on the Jersey Hype brand.
That is exactly what I wanted to converse about as well. So please proceed here. Yes.
Yes. And so this is what pretty much served as the catalyst for the split. There was there was no discussion on on an LLC, mind you. There was no discussion, mind you. At this point we're at a state with L-Cerious to where we're not even communicating with the man because we lost trust with him. We don't trust him to safeguard the movement. And it's like communication is pretty much null and void. It's like, okay, we're just gonna continue doing what we're doing. L-Cerious is just doing what he's doing at this point. It's just the main focus is the movement, the rookies, and what we got going on over here. That's the best we could do.
Yeah.
If one day inside the new in the Jersey Hype page, out of nowhere, a post comes, and he announces that he bought an LLC for the Jersey Hype brand. This was beyond anyone's knowledge. No one knew about this. There was no discussion. There was no meeting on this. But what really tipped everyone off is L-Cerious declares himself as the CEO of Jersey Hype, the CEO of the brand and of the movement. Maybe you meant a different message with it, but declaring yourself as a CEO, that really ruffled feathers. Like, first of all, no one works for you. And this is just something that came out of the blue. So at that point in time, people just pretty much completely lose all trust with you at this point, or pretty much done dealing with you if you're just gonna come out of the woodwork and state ownership over something.
Yeah.
My bad.
I'm gonna pull that down. Oh, someone says,
My
"You killing
bad.
me, Fantum. Get some water." Oh, I got mine. I'm gonna take a sip too, man. Oh, let me get it.
Yeah, let me get.
I'll take a sip for you, brother.
Let me get the water first.
But yeah, for those who are just now tuning in, we are here with Mike Fantum Allen, Krumper in New Jersey. This is a follow-up to an episode we had yesterday. I'm gonna pull him down for a second as he gets himself situated. This is a follow-up. Shout out to Ivory 3, by the way. I seen him, but I didn't know how to, I appreciate you. So yeah, this is a follow-up to a conversation I had yesterday with L-Cerious regarding what happened with the split for those who don't know. So Fantum is back ready and he's back on the stage. Hello, brother.
All right, so I got my voice back.
It's all good, man. It's all good, man. We just need this information.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah. So yes, that event pretty much served as the catalyst. Osiris declaring that he placed an LLC on the brand, and him declaring himself as the CEO. Yeah, and this also ties into another issue that we have. Like for years, as we have always told the Jersey history, there's been five founders. L-Cerious, Brash, L-Cerious, Brash, 07, Slugger, and myself. 5 founders. The 5 people who stayed consistent with the movement. Because, we had people who have been here and then they left. Life took them in different paths, different directions. And, they couldn't stay consistent with Krump within the state, or they couldn't stay consistent with Krump, period. But these are the main 5 people who stay consistent with the movement to bring it to where it is now. And then, we're speaking with you on this platform. So 5 founders. And that's how we always told it. And we had plenty of interviews, documentaries to support, to verify this. Even with L-Cerious, speaking this, he said, so these words come out of his mouth too. We all wholeheartedly believe in what we're saying when we're telling you this. So out of nowhere, mind you, this is something that also came out of nowhere. L-Cerious begins calling himself creator of Jersey Hype and co-creator. So that raises confusion. How do we go from 5 founders to co-creator? Because everything we've done, Jersey Hype has always been a group effort. Everybody putting into the pot that is Jersey Hype, the community, the movement. And the 5 main people who stay consistent to bring it to where it is now. And that's how the history has always been told. There was never creator or co-creator. And it's not an appropriate title to use on our specific situation, because creator heavily implies, like I said, L-Cerious may have a different message when it comes to that word, but creator heavily implies that you brought Krump to Jersey when it wasn't there before. And that is not factual, because there are individuals in the state who have been crumping long before, who have been crumping long before they ever met L-Cerious, before we even met each other.
Understood.
A lot of us, we never been taught how to Krump. We watch Krump visually, and we learn visually. So there's no way for any of us to take credit for that. Oh, I'm a creator of this. Creator is not appropriate for Jersey. People found Krump on their own, and eventually we found each other and found a reason to coexist and move cohesively as a movement. So founder is more appropriate. So 5 founders, not creator. Honestly, I didn't even know I was a co-creator until we did that interview.
Yeah.
That was news to me.
Yeah.
And while L-Cerious is giving you his facts on it, I'm just I'm confused. It's like, I was a co-creator. I didn't know that. We didn't have a meeting on this. that was just sprung on me. But all I could do was just stick to the traditional history that we have always given people, 5 founders. That's it. Because that's all I have to stand on. I don't know about creator or co-creator, and honestly, I don't I don't care much about having that title. That's too much. That's too much responsibility. I'm not doing work like that. I'm not doing work like that. You know, like,
understood. Yeah.
Yeah. So, creator. The creator title, it creates a pyramid. Like, one person on top and then trickles down. We never operated that way. Just 5 people putting into the pot, and anyone who follows suit to put into the pot. That's just how it works. It's never. It was never. We never operated that way. So when L-Cerious makes a public declaration like, "Yo, that's how Jersey operates," it gives a really like it gives a real misconstrued message to the movement. Like, oh, this is how Jersey operating. When you publicly state that, and the rest of us are told disagree, it's unfortunate that the public has to see that we're not in total agreement with that, because that's not how we told our history.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, when you make a public incorrection like that, unfortunately, the correction has to be public. When you force a hand to tell people that, this is incorrect, and it's not, like I said, that's not how we do things. We don't do things out in the open for people to see and make judgments on how we are as people, or, how we operate. We have private discussions. But, when the hand is forced and I have to publicly make a correction, I don't like doing that, but it's necessary. It's like, because I'm like I said, this whole creator or co-creator is foreign to people. That's never been the language that we spoke.
Understood. So I have a question. Do you feel like the LLC came into play because a power shift was being felt? Do you feel like this happened because it's like, I kind of feel this thing slipping away from me, or I kind of feel like a separation is happening? So before that happens, maybe I go and do this to solidify this, or you just can't really speak on that?
Those feelings are not unprecedented, because it was felt on this side as well. It's like, ripples were forming, and they were already growing. Like, a tear was already happening. A separation was already inevitable at this point. But at the same time, the people, our main focus was the movement. The people who are here, boots on the ground, and they're active in the movement.
Yeah.
We're not making, concerning the brand. That wasn't the concern. It was the movement. The LLC just popped up, and it just it just threw everybody into a shock.
Yeah, I remember that
So
post on Facebook. It definitely was not received well, I would say. It was not received well.
it wasn't received well, and so total distrust, and like, elimination of relations is pretty much happening.
Mm.
So I spoke with L-Cerious personally before the split was officiated, and we came to an agreement that New Hype City 5 would be the conclusion of Madhouse Madhouse organizing an event under the Jersey Hype brand. Like, that would be the end of it.
Okay.
And once that came to a conclusion, to proceed amicably without there being any further conflict,
Mm-hmm.
the Jersey Hype brand, will go to L-Cerious. The logo, everything that has to do with it, that's officially his brand. So if anyone who wants to have anything to do with the Jersey Hype brand, L-Cerious is who you must consult. that has nothing to do with us. We no longer have any say, any bearing. It's totally separate from us, along with L-Cerious.
Understood.
And so it was necessary. It was necessary to create a new entity for what we're doing over here, since we're no longer Jersey Hype. However, this is where the this is where the community is. And I got man Grizzly in the message. He was wondering if he could hop on.
Yeah, if you could send him the if I'll shoot him the link as well.
Yeah. Yeah, if you could send it to his inbox, I think he's available to hop on.
All right, yeah, that would be good to get man Grizzly here, and I believe I just sent him the link via Messenger. Yeah, so I just sent him the link via Messenger. Let me just double check, make sure it was received. Man, Grizzly, if you out there, oh yeah, he's already seen. He's probably already on his way, and that will be good. We got about 15 more minutes of time that we can utilize here. I'm glad that you clarified, the separation. I'm glad that you were able to have the opportunity to address this, because a few months ago I'm just learning about this thing. I see you guys together, and then I'm watching as things transpire online. I kind of see it happening. So it's good to be able to get you guys up here to converse about it in a way that doesn't involve completely slandering someone. Like, we don't have to do that. We just want the facts, and hopefully brothers can just be cordial.
No, this is just me speaking from our POV, how we feel about how things transpired. We're not trying to create a gang war. If there's someone who's interested in Krump and they live like in a certain region where Jersey Hype is located, and I encourage them to go be where Jersey Hype is happening, because that's where Krump is happening. You feel me? Like, yo, man, Grizzly, what's going on, brother?
Man, Grizzly.
What's good, Fantum? What's good, Chaotic? Hope everybody's doing good today.
Yeah, I see you've been moving. You've been doing a lot, man. You've been out here active, man. Boots on the ground, as they say.
Yes, sir. I mean, that's what I'm supposed to do, ain't I? I'm supposed to be out here moving. Can't be out here not moving, and you ain't got no passive income.
Understood. Well, all right, since you're just now joining the show, I just want to give you, I know you've been listening along. I've been seeing you in the comments. I know you did a documentary on some of the things we conversed about. I just want to give you the opportunity to chime in on anything that we conversed about over the course of the last hour.
Well, pretty much over the course of the last hour, and again, I even watched the last interview you did with L-Cerious. A lot of the stuff that I can honestly say is kind of just is disappointing, because again, one of the issues that we had with L-Cerious is the fact of, you need to talk to us and let us know what's going on to some degree. Because again, when I did that documentary 2 years ago for my internship to graduate college, that was the history that we were set with. So when it changed, oddly enough, the next year, I was saying, well, what's the issue? What's going on? And then that's when we started to have that disconnect with him. We started to have those issues. And I was asking him privately, hey, is something wrong? Is there something you need to talk about? Is there anything that's happening? Because again, you can't just sit here and say that you were the creator of this and then Mike was co-creator, when literally on footage, it stated that it was multiple individuals coming together to create one solid movement. And that's where I have my issue with them, because again, I had a very, deep personal relationship with Eldon, again, as friends, and that was something I'm like, bro, if anything, you can talk to me about it. So for you to change that stance and then start to discredit people and then start to almost disrespect people, that's where we have an issue with. Because again, history doesn't change because of what you feel. Again, you and I have spoke about it. We've documented it. And again, I encourage anybody who ever wants to understand a little bit of Jersey history, please go watch my documentary, NJ Krump documentary. It's on YouTube. Go forth and look at it. you'll see it from the 12-minute 45-second mark. That's where it all started. Because again, it was Mike, it was Slugger, and it was L-Cerious, all corresponding and all saying the same thing. This is the history of Jersey. This is how it happened. Nobody can ever say like, yeah, this is not how it happened. All of us would, I wasn't there again for the first year. I came a year later. I've been 7 years now with this movement, boots on the ground, as you can say. So, I've been a soldier for this movement for quite some time. And, even if we have our discrepancies and issues, I handle that with them privately. I never go outside, I never go outside of it because, and again, as Fantum said, that's usually our rule. If there's an issue with somebody in the movement, we handle that in the movement, never outside. Because the minute that we bring people outside into our movement, we have more eyes on us, and we can't have that. Because again, if it's an in-house thing, keep it in-house. And that's where L-Cerious started to go wrong, because now he started bringing stuff that was in-house for the world to see. And we're not a group that does that, that airs out dirty laundry.
Understood. And so as these things are constantly happening, I guess the sentiment becomes that we have to separate at this point. I guess that's what it came to.
Yeah. I even myself was trying to get that to not to happen, that we didn't have to separate. Fantum knows this, and a couple others know that I was trying to still keep L-Cerious close by, because again, he was still an integral part of the movement at one point. You still was somebody that we really appreciated. So it wasn't just the fact of we got to split because we don't like you. The way that you're moving is making us look bad as well. It's a business decision.
Understood. And that was articulated very well. Proceed. That was articulated very well, by the way, but proceed.
I appreciate it. No, I'm actually, I just wanted to pop in and, give my piece on it because, I got to still take care of my client because, I had a minute, he's on break. But, again, I just wanted to let everybody know Jersey loves, we love everybody here. And we never want to antagonize our own. Antagonize our own is the worst thing to do. Because again, how do you do that to your own people? But I'll say this, and again, Chaotic, I appreciate you letting me off for this little bit of time. No matter what happens, Jersey is still going to do what Jersey needs to do. Jersey Krump is still going to be alive and well. Whether I'm here, whether Fantum's here, whether our new rookies is here, no matter what goes on, we're still going to do what we need to do. At the end of the day, Jersey Krump is going to be alive and well.
Well worded. And hold up before you go, man, Grizzly, I'm hearing about a potential event in August, but I'm not sure. Like, you want to give some details, man? What's going on?
Oh, we talking about Jersey Club versus Krump, July 26th in Elizabeth on Union Avenue, 317 at the Crave Cave. I think I heard about that. I'm not sure, little something I've been putting together. Yeah. So yes, July 26th, from 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. we have Jersey Club versus Krump 3 Armageddon. Yours truly will be also not just hosting but battling as well. And we have a superstar lineup for what's to come. All I'm gonna say is this: I'm not going, spoil it here. Y'all better be there, and if y'all don't, because y'all not even gonna be square, you're just gonna be lame for that.
Yeah. July 26th in Elizabeth. Shout out to the community. That is close. We nothing left to do but when May be in the building for that.
Yes,
any new music that you would like to promote, or would you like to promote your last project before we wrap everything up?
Ironically, that's crazy too, because me and Monster Havoc will be dropping a project next month in June, a month before the event.
Now that's a rollout. That's what I'm talking about. So look, I'm definitely going to get you and Monster Havoc back on here. We're going to talk production. I got my MPC right here. We're going to talk production, and I would love to one day hopefully be able to collaborate with you guys, but we'll talk about that another time. Fantum, is there anything else that you would like to say before we close out as well? Take care, take care, man. Grizzly, thank you for your time. And Fantum, any final words from you, brother?
I just want people to understand that Jersey Krump culture will continue You know, it's still alive. You know, and nothing is coming to a halt. You know, these things happen in the culture. Separations happen. Eras come to an end. Another begins. But as long as Krump is alive and it's continuing, we're creating longevity. It's still here for people who want to experience it for themselves. You know, we're gonna create. We're gonna continue creating environments to where you can come experience it and learn it for yourself if that's what you want. If you really want to embrace Krump for what it is for yourself, we're going to continue providing that. Whether it be me, L-Cerious, I'm not trying to create a gang war. If you live in close proximity to where Jersey Hype is operating, go to where Jersey Hype is providing Krump. You know what I'm saying? If you live in proximity of the garden to where we're providing Krump, you're more than welcome to come. You have, Krump is happening in Jersey and it's not going to stop anytime soon. So connect because we are here and we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, hey, and that's what I love. I love the fact that you are still encouraging people. Hey, if you happen to be around the New Jersey Hype homies, lab with them. Come on into the culture. Lab with them. We're not saying forget them, don't rock with them. We're saying if that's what's close to you in close proximity, if that's what you want to do, do it. If you're close to the garden, come rock out with the garden. Looks like now you got options. So and option is a beautiful thing. Eventually, I look to get. Well, we'll see. I'll talk to you about that off the cam, but I appreciate you. Thank you for giving us the time. We're definitely going to do a follow-up here as I come up with more questions, maybe review some Krump battles. There's so many different things that we could do, So looking forward to seeing what the Garden has. We're going to talk about the event coming up in July. Do you know if you'll be in the building July 26th?
Absolutely. Those are my brothers. That's their event. So, I will always be there to support.
All right.
And I highly encourage everyone else, especially if you want to experience, Jersey dance culture on a competitive level, two different styles, two different cultures clashing at an event, on a competitive dance style. I definitely encourage you to come support and have an enjoyable experience. I encourage everybody to come and support my brother's event. Jersey Club versus Krump 3.
There we go. Jersey Club versus Krump 3 going down Elizabeth, New Jersey, July 26th. Fantum, I appreciate you. Thank you for rocking out, man. Thank you for giving me an hour of your time. And I'll touch bases with you in Messenger, brother. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Yeah. Hey, there it is. So, we're going to get back into this Krump thing. We're going to do more with Jersey Krump. We're going to cover it. Who knows what's next? Slugger, I seen you had asked when we could do the interview. Let's connect via FB Messenger and let's set it up. I'd like to hear your side too. I'm definitely looking forward to getting Monster Havoc back on with his capoeira accomplishments that he's been what his accomplishments between the music and everything. So shout out to the Garden. We will be following the Garden closely, and we're definitely going to do a follow-up interview before the music comes out in June and before the event July 26th in Elizabeth, New Jersey. Chaotic Flame should definitely be in the building. I'm going to close this one out with a track I made called Twisted Fate, produced by yours truly. And don't go nowhere because at 7:30, we'll be right back with the QCBC post-fight pod. It's going down. Twisted Fate, produced by yours truly, Chaotic Flame.